I'm a mother of two. My children are 11 years apart, and I've had a lot of frustrations in the past trying to find childcare for my children. My son is now older, but when I was first looking for a preschool for him, I couldn't find anything, and there was waiting lists for 2 and 3 years, and it was really, really frustrating. I finally found one, and it's only because the principal or the owner of the school knew my mother, and we used to babysit her child when my mom had a daycare, and that took, and it still took a year.
Well, let's talk for a minute about wait lists. So I've been on like 5 different wait lists now, some of them for over 2 years, and I've never gotten a phone call. I don't know how many people are on it. I don't know what number I am. I'm not sure that the wait list even really exists.
So one of the most frustrating parts of being a single father and a working father with a busy schedule is trying to find activities for my daughter. I think one of the most aggravating aspects is that there's a lot out there, but they're all at 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's difficult to find a program that's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon without having to spend hours upon hours going through website and program and phone calls trying to figure out a schedule that works for you and your daughter and work schedule.
I'm so sorry, could you repeat the question?
My daughter is such an amazing soccer player, and we've been looking for a great fit for her. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find anything local, so we're having to drive 2 to 4 days a week, 1 to 2 hours away. It's totally sucking up all our family time. We spend more time in the car than we actually do at the practice.
In 2020, we moved here from a small mountain town. I'm the mother of 2 young kids. My son was starting a new school, and we didn't know anybody. And I felt like finding the right summer camp that was age appropriate and of interest was a Herculean task. I even sat down and made a huge spreadsheet that just took hours and hours and hours.
I moved recently from Northern California to Southern California. It was absolutely awful. I had to find doctors, pediatricians, I had to find camps, I had to find after-school care. It was such a heartache, and I just was super overwhelmed. I had nowhere to start, and I had no idea where to start. I started using sites like Nextdoor, and there were bad recommendations, so had nowhere to go. Didn't know what to do.
Well, we do have some primary babysitters already, and they are really, really cheap and affordable. But they keep telling me that they need to be traveling the world and enjoying retirement. So, we're going to have to be looking for childcare going forward. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate everything that you're doing.
We were going to a preschool that we really wanted to love, and our whole family was really excited because it was not only a preschool, but it was all the way up till middle school. As a mom, that's exactly what you want to hear, because that kind of takes the planning out of it for you. When it wasn't a great fit, that was not something I accounted for. And the scramble to find help, whether that be a nanny or in-home daycare or a private preschool even, we were willing to pay, but it was such a job in and of itself to try to find availability and kind of like the one-stop shop for a mom that doesn't have time, mom of 2.
Even if you're fortunate enough to find daytime childcare that you like, what about all the extracurriculars? I mean, as a working mom, I need stuff in the evenings and I need stuff on weekends, but it seems about 98% of the time that doesn't exist. So what happens is then parents are calling 40 different places to see, do you have a program that it would even fit for my schedule? Do you even have anything for a child of my age, because I have toddlers? So the extracurriculars are such a nightmare to try to figure out if anybody can accommodate what your needs are.
I don't know if you've ever dealt with ballet before, but there are different groups within groups of ballet, and you have to fit within those schedules. So I can't tell you how many nights I've racked my brain just going through, ballet programs, trying to figure out a schedule that works for both my daughter and I.
So I have been so fortunate to find really great daytime care. However, where we really struggle is finding a babysitter for the occasional date night. So, we have people who refer them, and sometimes it's just not a good fit, or I'm on a website and it's super expensive and we don't even know if it's gonna be someone who can come continuously. So if I could just find one really great babysitter quickly, who's affordable and can be there and care for my young kids, that's really what I would be looking for.
Considering my closest relatives are 41 miles south, so that's kind of a 80-mile round trip to go to dinner. Sometimes my husband and I are like, is it even worth it? I've never relied on websites. I've only done word of mouth or friends. So finding someone that I can trust, that I can leave my kids for a long time it's been the most difficult aspect of childcare.
A date night would be incredible. Right?
No.
Yeah, just one.
When we had our daughter, we had moved to La Mesa, San Diego, and I went on maternity leave. I started looking for childcare before I went on maternity leave, but probably got serious about a month in. Wasn't very successful finding anything. Started to get really stressed out about the 4-month mark. I had taken 5 months off of work. We had asked around. I used my alumni network. Our neighborhood had a lot of retirees, so there weren't a lot of people that I could go off of within our neighborhood. And we ended up just not finding anyone. And so my husband had to take paternity leave for 4 months until we could get comfortable with a recommendation that we actually got from a coworker. And so we went almost 9 months with having to take time off work just because it was our firstborn, and having somebody that we could depend on was just so important to us, and we weren't getting that through any other means.
My daughter goes to a preschool, and I thought it'd be really great to have both my daughter and my son at the same location since I am a working mom. So I started him there. He was there for about 2 months, and then I got a nice letter and a conversation saying that we are closing our infant center and you only have 2 weeks to find something else. And as you know, there's extremely long wait time. So I, for the past several months, have been without a childcare provider.
After I returned to work from maternity leave, we had this amazing nanny, and then COVID hit, and my life fell apart because she had 2 kids of her own that she needed to go and take care of. So I was left in kind of like a lurch without any childcare while working this corporate marketing management job where instead of working a traditional 8-hour day, now that COVID hit, they expected more from us. So I was working 12 hours a day in meetings, back-to-back meetings with the 1-year-old on my hip. And it became to the point where I was super stressed out. I actually had to call my doctor and say, like, I need help. Then I was looking for childcare nonstop. I had all these spreadsheets out trying to figure out, could we do a home daycare situation or a nanny situation, but there was no childcare to be found. And I was really left in our house as the sole person responsible with this full-time job to find childcare for my daughter when there was nothing available, and it felt like an insurmountable task.
What ends up happening when parents can't find a good childcare option is they end up resorting to things like social media. So they'll be posting in different groups like, hey, anyone know a good daycare? Anyone know a nanny? Things like that. But there's a huge problem with that, right? Because you can't vet these candidates. You don't know how they've done in other places. You can't run a background check. And so, there's not a lot of difference between that and standing out on a street sign like, hey, anyone want to watch my kids? So you're getting complete strangers and you have no real criteria, vetting process, reviews, anything to know if hiring them is a good decision. And I think people just get so desperate. They feel like, well, I don't have another option, so some care is better than no care. But I can absolutely say from personal experience, that is not always true.